Hi everyone, I am back with another reading from my Lucid Dream Oracle decks. And once again, I will be reading for a fictional character from my novel. The links are in the description. So I'm not going to say which character this is. There's a line in my novel where she says, "She'll never forgive me." So if you've read the novel, you'll know who I'm talking about. Needless to say, there's another character, and she doesn't believe the other character will forgive her for something. And so she is seeking insight from this oracle card reading. We're going to start with the Lucid Dream Tarot deck first. We've got Jungle, Instinct, Potential, Authenticity, Risk, Uncharted Territory. Then we have Ocean, Flow, Potential, Emotions, Spirituality, Feminine Energy. And then we have Swamp, Overwhelmed, Weighed Down, Trapped, Confusion. So with Swamp, we're seeing some toxicity here. There is a lot of toxicity in the environment. Maybe coming from within, or it may be coming from external factors, or a combination of both. But in any case, there is a clouding and inability to see clearly the path forward. So let's just take a moment here to think about the statement, "She will never forgive me." So this is really expressing a feeling of fear, a fear that the other person will never forgive. And that just the wording alone has the undertone of some unhealed wounds, because when we are healed, we no longer fear another person's lack of forgiveness. Now, if we have done everything we can to acknowledge the harm that's been done and to take steps to not repeat the harm, and the other person is still unable to forgive for whatever reason, then we have done all that we can do. And really, it doesn't help for us to continue punishing ourselves for what is now the other party's healing process that has to take place. So clearly the character wants the other party to forgive them, but fears that they won't. So there's this feeling of being weighed down and being trapped and feeling confusion. And so what we're seeing here with these other cards, let's look at Jungle. So Authenticity, Risk, Uncharted Territory. One piece of this is that we do have to take a risk. We have to take a risk that the other person's not going to forgive us. There is always that risk. And moving into a space where we can forgive ourselves, that is often uncharted territory. I know it was for me. Being able to forgive myself was not long ago uncharted territory for me, and it's hard. It's hard, especially when you've grown up in a very critical environment where you have learned how to judge yourself very harshly, and so it can be hard to let go of that, but it's part of the healing process. And when we are able to let go of that, and when we're able to see that we really did the best that we could with what we had at the time, then it's a step toward embracing our own authenticity. And so this is really where instinct and potential is, to really learn some things about ourselves, because we can really take a step back and look at the way the events unfolded and exercise some self-compassion and understand that we are not the only person who was responsible for that everything that happened. Even if we may have done one specific thing, we made a decision that we regret, it is still not the only factor in the situation. So the more healed we become, the more we can gain objectivity and see that the embracing our authenticity has value. So with Ocean, there's advice here to trust the flow. And the flow can lead us in all kinds of directions. It can lead us into mistakes, and it can lead us into situations that have positives and negatives about them. And so when we trust that flow, and we can see that when we are able to look for the silver linings and able to see what good came out of the situation, then we can navigate away from this stuck place where we're just continuously like beating ourselves up and never forgiving ourselves, because really we're the ones that have to forgive ourselves. If the other person never forgives us, we still have to forgive ourselves. Otherwise, we'll never heal. So the advice here is trust the flow, exercise self-compassion, and self-forgiveness. So we're going to move on now to the Metro deck. And we're going to stick with the same question. The character wants some insight on this situation where she believes the other character will never forgive her. So we've got journaling, self-reflection, catharsis, new chapter, transmuting pain. Sleep paralysis, ungrounded, trapped, vulnerable, stress, exhaustion. And then we have falling, fear, anxiety, stress, again, loss of control, insecurity, instability. So we're seeing that trapped feeling again, that feeling of being stuck and helpless, feeling helpless. There's this fear of falling, perhaps a fear of falling from grace. fear of losing control, a fear of losing our footing. And so the advice here is to take some time for self-reflection. The wonderful thing about journaling is that we get to learn how to listen to ourselves, and we can show ourselves some compassion. We can go back and read what we've written and imagine that this is somebody that we really love who's saying these things. And what would we want to say to that person if it was somebody, a family member or a loved one that was in a similar situation? We would most likely show a lot more compassion toward them than we would show toward ourselves. So with journaling, there's the opportunity to listen to ourselves and to reflect. It's also a form of catharsis, so we can get those feelings out on paper and allow ourselves to feel the feelings that maybe we didn't allow ourselves to feel while it was happening. And so it also is an opportunity to put some distance between ourselves and the wound. We can come back to it a week later, or even the next day, a month later, a year later, and reflect on how we've made progress and the lessons that we've learned. And in so doing, we're able to transmute the pain. So those are some of the wonderful things about journaling. So with falling, we do have to relinquish control to some degree. We have to let go. We have to let go of the harsh expectations of ourselves. That's what's holding us trapped. Our expectations of how we think we should be and how we think it should have gone and what we should have done, and when in reality what's done is done. And so all we can do is move forward and keep in mind that whatever we have done, there will be opportunities for us to redeem ourselves. And there will be saving graces and there will be silver linings. And we have to look for those. And we have to be compassionate with ourselves. And when we do that, we learn how to forgive ourselves. And then we don't need so desperately anymore for the other to forgive us.